All right, y'all, welcome back with your main. It's another episode of The Lobby, and today I'm very excited to have Anwar from Wabisabi, and today we're going to talk about HyperYuki Snowboard Syndicate. Anwar, how you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you so much. Thanks for the time, for the opportunity, and yeah, just saying hello to all your audience.
I appreciate it. So let's kind of get some background with Wabi Sabi and your journey in game development. So tell me a little bit about how you got into game development, and tell me how Wabi Sabi formed.
Sure. Well, making games was kind of like the dream since day one, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is that here in Mexico, it's a career that it's honestly close to impossible to pursue. Like there's not so many opportunities. So it stayed as a dream for many years. But little by little, we started doing software development, like traditional software development.
Uh huh.
And little by little, we started realizing that there were some similarities in making games and making traditional software. So at some point in 2018, um, a couple of friends, we started having this conversation about, like, what if we make some games? It sounded nice. We didn't know all the struggles it will carry on. But yeah, it was just like a group of friends having this conversation, decided to do it. And I guess the rest is history. Here we are.
That's awesome. So your first game was Arcade GK, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did you transition from that into Hyper Yuki? What was the process like?
Mm. So, okay, at the end of the production of that first title, we started doing some internal prototyping, just like sketching some ideas about what we're gonna do next.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Most of those ideas actually were around the concept of making a sequel to RKGK.
Okay.
Um, but then at some point, someone prototyped this mechanic of sliding,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt so awesome. Like everybody, we all started like remembering like those days when we were playing like skating games or like snowboarding games back in the day, like in the early 2000s or late 90s.
Yeah.
And we all loved that idea. So we started exploring more and more and more that concept to the point that that mechanic was bigger than just a gimmick inside another game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we just made the decision to transition to completely start from scratch and start building a new game on top of this mechanic. And yeah, like we started chatting between each other here at Wabi Sabi, and the extreme sport that resonated the most with everybody here was snowboarding. Like we started chatting about SSX and Cool Boarders and Snowboarding Kids and all those titles that we loved as kids. So we made the decision to make a snowboarding game, even though there's no snow in Mexico. So we have no idea how that works, and yeah, any similarities with real life is just pure coincidence, I guess.
Yeah, I'm in Florida, and there's definitely no snow here, so I definitely understand. But at the same time, I still love my SSX. I still love my Cool Boarders. Even Amped was a big series for me growing up, and I do see some of those similarities between like SSX and like you said, Cool Boarders as well. Just by watching the trailers for Hyper Yuki, some of the tricks and even just the overall characters like aesthetic and style, I really dig.
Amped was amazing. I love that series as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of those that I wish they would bring back. Amp 3 in particular had a big impact on me, and Amp 2 did as well. And maybe one day.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
But so Mark and I, when we had our interview, we were talking about how Acclaim is has some games that are like that retro future coded, where you can play it and you're like, okay, this reminds me of this reminds me of that whole type of thing. And the Y2K aesthetic itself has had a really big resurgence. Like if you look at the music, the art, the culture, but the only piece that we've had missing is the game, and I feel like HyperYuki is going to fit very well within that. But going back to music in particular, tell me about some of the artists that you guys have found to kind of give HyperYuki its soundtrack. How did you guys find some of these artists?
Sure. So we are very fortunate that one of the core team members here at Wabi Sabi, the one in charge of actually doing all the audio and music in the studio, he's an actual like electronic music artist,
Oh wow.
like a renowned. He has played in like some of the most amazing festivals like Mutec, Canada, in Montreal, and in Europe and in Latin America. So that has been his kind of like main activity for the past, I don't know, like 20 years or whatever. He's like super connected in the electronic music scene,
Hmm.
basically everywhere. So when we started having these conversations about creating the soundscape of the game, very quickly we realized that we wanted to create a soundtrack, not with different artists, and not just like creating our own custom music. Um, so yeah, he started like shooting some emails to some of his friends, and it was very easy, to be completely honest. Like everybody was like, "What? I will have my music on a snowboarding game like back in the day," and we were like, "Yeah, you can do that." So everybody was super excited, and it was as simple as that, to be honest. Like just like friends of friends, and some of those artists are like really really talented, also like very successful. They are part of like the independent electronic music scene. Most of them are from Mexico, but there are also some other people from the US, and I have to say also that it's a task that hasn't finished. We are still actively looking to increase the catalog of music for the game. So if anybody wants to be included, just let me know and we can have that conversation.
Okay, and they can reach out to you via email, or how does that work out?
Yeah, just an email to me that works. At some point, we will have to talk to Acclaim as well and do all the due diligence and all that stuff. But yeah, you can start with me for sure.
Okay, sweet. I'll be sure to plug that in also, just in case I happen to get any EDM artists that are listening or watching the video once it gets released.
Yep.
So the world and the tracks for the game, I did notice some of the worlds seem like they match a character to an extent. Like one of the gothic characters kind of had a world also that had like a skull, like mountain and things like that. Let's talk about the world building and the process behind that.
Sure. Okay, so I guess first being like super honest, this is a game that we started working on with heavy focus on the mechanics,
Hmm.
and kind of like the world building came later. Like that's me being like super honest. But what we saw is that the snowboarding games that have released in the past few years, they all tend to rely more on the realism or like simulation type of things. So we saw this opportunity to go like wacky and stylish and arcadey, and with that, we started like sharing some ideas, and we really liked this way of tackling narrative and world building from anime, like
Hmm.
especially like sports anime, where everything revolves around this particular sport, and everybody just talks and thinks and dreams and eats this sport, and nothing else matters. So with that idea in mind, we started creating the world, and it was actually like quite um easy for us. Like we were not too worried about like something making sense or not. Like it was just like honestly like just throwing some wacky ideas, and somebody said, "Hey, what if there's a taco that snowboards?" And we were like, "Yeah, why not? Let's add it," and something like that. So um yeah, we never intended to have like a narrative driven or like a heavy world building into the game,
Hmm.
but at least the visual side, we wanted to create some like environmental storytelling that can tell players that there is this world and everything revolves about around snowboarding, and there are like larger than life areas that would be impossible to have in real life. And yeah, it was a very chaotic but also very fun process.
Okay, well, cool. Going back to anime for a quick second, is there even a snowboarding anime out there? I know there's like basketball, there's boxing. I think there's like an airsoft one, and then I'm big into like Initial D and Trigun, but I've never seen a snowboarding one.
I'm not sure. Like it will be, I don't know all anime, so I have no idea. Probably there is one. We've seen some like futuristic hoverboarding type of anime
Hmm.
that share some core pillars, but like an actual snowboarding one, I don't know.
Well, I mean
Yeah.
that might be the next lane for HyperYuki once it takes off. So,
Man, I would love to create some like transmedia with this title for sure.
That'd be really cool. And speaking of the characters again, I know you mentioned the taco. I saw a Godzilla character in the background as well. Are there any other? There's 11 characters in total, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Awesome. Now, how are they going to be unlocked, and what was the philosophy behind some of these characters?
Sure. Everything in the game is unlocked with game progression. So the entire structure of the game is also super influenced by old school arcade games. So we wanted to keep it very simple. So it's basically the game starts with two unlocked characters. You have to pick one of those and start running and like playing all the levels. And as you do that, you start growing the character. You get like XP, and then you level up the character with each level. You can grow the stats of that character, and then you start unlocking new courses, and also you start unlocking new characters and new boards and new cosmetics, and it's all about like just playing the levels and getting to certain like thresholds, and that's how you unlock everything in the game.
Okay, so it sounds like there could be some repetition in there. You know, if you get bronze, you want to work towards that silver, work towards that gold. Kind of reminds me of SSX in that way as well. So if you're doing like World Circuit, if you got bronze, you only got X amount of stat points, and you want to work your way higher and higher up.
Exactly like that. So that's where we are focusing the resources for replayability.
Right, and I'm down for that because SSX Tricky has been out since like 2001, and I'm still playing it like it's brand new. So
That's a dream. If we can make that happen for this title, that would be awesome.
And in terms of character customization, I did notice like a VMU on the back of one of the characters. How deep does the customization go, and how do you unlock more outfits? Is it like a trick book kind of thing, or is it just a part of ranking up your character?
It's part of the same like ranking up. Every time you reach a certain level in particular, you unlock a new cosmetic for the character. At this stage and for version 1.0, the customization will not be like so deep. I need to be like completely honest. There are certain skins that you can change between the characters, and also you can mix and match with the different snowboard designs.
Okay.
But like the overall philosophy of the game is that we are trying to make the best version 1 possible to ship it as soon as possible for the people to start playing it. But at the same time, we are building kind of like the entire architecture behind it, just in case the game starts growing and the community starts asking for different features. We will be super ready to start like increasing like the amount of content, or making the customization system a little bit more interesting and with more depth. So it's all about like seeing the community thriving and engaging with the game, and if the numbers are right, we can gladly keep on growing the game.
Awesome. Well, if you need a street team, let me know because I am on board.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. Let's talk about the boards themselves. So I know I keep using SSX as a reference, but I see a lot of similarities between the two. Like we said, that retro future coded kind of aesthetic. Are there going to be different boards? So actually, let's do this. Let's back up. What game modes can we expect in the game? Is it going to be like freestyle and races, kind of like SSX, or is it going to be freestyle races and some other modes you guys have in the works as well?
Sure. I can gladly answer that question. Also, if it's okay with you, I would love to at some point go back to the music conversation, because
for sure.
I was not able to talk about the kind of like the Y2K movement in general.
Right.
Yeah. But let me know whenever you want to go back to that.
Oh, we can go back to it now, and then we can go to the boards after that.
Okay. Sounds good. So yeah, like funny story, like we felt exactly the same as you in terms of like we saw the Y2K movement like having kind of like this resurgence. We started seeing it in graphic design and in fashion, and even like some anime started like having like those aesthetics. Games, so there are some, of course, examples. We are not the only ones or the first ones. Like there's a revival there, and we saw it like that. In terms of music, we were not so involved in that industry, and we were not so like too deep into what was happening nowadays. And very quickly, thanks to this friend, we realized that the Y2K movement in music was also like growing so fast and so crazy. Like everybody like not everybody, but a lot of people were starting to do like this drum and bass from the 90s and jungle and rave music. And we were so surprised, like because we were not close to that world. We were a little bit worried, like, man, is it gonna be easy to find the artists that have this vibe? And very quickly we realized that it's so popular nowadays that there's so many people doing this type of music, and we were so happy about that. So yeah, we didn't have the need to force any particular genre into the game. It was so natural, and everybody understood very quickly the vibes of the title because everybody was just remembering what they were playing as kids. So yeah, it felt very natural. It was really cool experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say those games back then. I had a lot of those, kind of EDM tracks as well. Even now with like my videos when I'm talking about whatever the case may be, I'm pulling music from games that I've never played, but it's because that EDM soundtrack just hits so much better than like a metal or like rock soundtrack or even a hip hop soundtrack would.
Totally. There's something to that genre that just it's awesome. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
It has that very cool energy. Yeah.
I'm seeing the Prodigy in October, and I'm like so excited,
Ooh.
so
Is it part
excited.
of like a festival or just like a standalone
It's part of a
prodigy?
festival, yeah. It's some music festival down in Dallas, Texas, and I was like, "Holy crap, the Prodigy's gonna be there!" And they rarely ever tour in the U.S., so I was like, "All right, I'm getting tickets day
Yeah.
one," so I'm extremely hyped for that.
Have you seen them before?
No, so I am almost 30, so a lot of their hype, like when they were popular, I was probably just being born slash like toddler age,
Yeah.
so I really didn't get into them till honestly way after Keith Flint died, unfortunately. But it's
Yeah.
still the Prodigy, and then it's still Maxim, who's the other guy who's still around. So I'm excited to see them, even though they're not their full capacity, but just to see them and
Yeah.
still sing along to the tracks and just dance my heart out.
Man, you're gonna have an amazing time. Their energy is crazy.
I can only
So
imagine.
crazy.
Okay, so the game modes and the boards. Like
Yeah.
I was saying before, the boards in SSX Tricky, you had like your Alpine boards for racing, you had your freestyle boards, and then you had your crossovers, which were good for both. Are we going to see a similar thing here? And the tricks also tied into that as well. Are certain boards or certain characters going to have certain tricks, or how is that going to work out?
Okay, so yeah, first, in terms of the boards, we don't have a particular category like that that is like very like strict, but each board has different stats, and there are some boards that have like different like better stats for speed. Some others have better stats for tricks and jumping. So there's definitely some strategy and like kind of like a mix and match gameplay that you can do to better prepare for each game mode. So that's how it works. Also, each character starts with a set of stats, and you can imagine that a character that is a little bit more heavy or bigger, it's not so fast, but it has like more power. And then there's another character that is like very tiny, so it's better for handling, or also better for jumping, or better for like spinning on the air. So we want to like give that gallery of opportunities for the players. But then, of course, with the leveling up system, each player have the opportunity to just like start customizing the character as they see better.
Okay.
If one player feels that they want to play more like on the freestyle type of things, they can start like improving the stats towards the tricks or jumping. And if someone enjoys better just like racing, they can go for the speed or stuff like that, or the handling. So we're trying to give that like freedom for players to just like grow the characters as they see fit. Um, and about the game modes, we have 5 game modes right now. The main one is the freestyling. It's just like SSX, man. Like go for the highest score, go crazy, find the best lines, and try to chain them in the biggest combo you can. That's the one that has resonated better with all the players in the playtesting sessions and in the events that we have showcased the game. We have racing, super straightforward, as you can imagine, competing against others to get to the finish line first. Then we have a challenge mode. This one is more like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater experience where inside the level there are certain challenges that you need to complete, like destroy the 5 hidden boxes, or
Collect skate, combo, that type of
collect
thing.
exactly like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So this is the game mode that allows a little bit more like exploration in the levels, so people can start like digging into the hidden routes and finding the secrets and all that, which we believe that has like a good balance between like this is kind of like a more passive game mode, but at the same time you're training to understand better the level to prepare yourself for racing or for freestyling. So we like that combination. And then the last two, one is slalom, just like going against the clock, trying to reach each milestone before the clock ends, towards, and just like trying to complete the level. And the last one, the one that probably I like the most, is just like chill, no objectives, just like vibing in the levels, and that's it.
Just straight flow. Yeah.
Yeah, straight flow. Once you get into the finish line of the level, you get back up, kind of like grabbing the lift and just going back up into the mountain, and then start all over again and just listening to music and vibing. And for me, that's the one that I entered like that flow state and lose track of time, and I enjoy it a lot.
That sounds like me whenever I was big into Skate 3 back in the day. It's one of those things that I could just put on and I would just lose myself to my music and just doing the same spots over and over again until I found that line and I was like, all right, I can record this, I can do something with it, you know?
Exactly. That's what we're aiming for.
And then in terms of multiplayer, online, split screen, what can we expect from that?
Both, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we started first only considering local multiplayer with split screen. We wanted to replicate that vibe from back in the day. And we really like it. And at some point, like having conversations with Acclaim, like everybody agreed that it would be amazing for this type of game to have an online multiplayer mode. So I'm very happy to share that. Yeah, it's already working. We are doing still a lot of optimizations and improvements to try to make it work like flawlessly. But yeah, we have it, and I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it a lot.
Well, sweet. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So I know you guys said, right now, you guys are just hoping that the game gets large enough fan base to expand for maybe some DLC or something like that. What else would you like to add to the game if it gets to that point? Like
Oh,
what's a personal, something that you'd like to see get added?
I guess more of everything, like more tracks, more characters, more boards, more cosmetics, more music, even some brand collaborations. Like if we can collaborate with an actual snowboarding brand, for example, or like that type of stuff, we are very excited about. Or even partnering with a real snowboarder and create like this like stylized avatar and be part of that world. Um, Different game modes as well. We know that in these types of games, sometimes players create their own goals and their own rules, and we want to support that. If at some point there's a gameplay style that starts emerging and it's resonating well with the players, just officially launch it in the game for everybody and stuff like that. Competitions, either local competitions or like global competitions, stuff like that. This is kind of like the roadmap that we see in the near future.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had another question for you, and I just completely lost it. Tricks. In terms of tricks, what's the influence behind that? I know, like with SSX, I keep referencing SSX. I apologize for that. But like some of their tricks were like based on like scooter tricks, based on like nunchucks, and a whole bunch of other wild stuff. Have you guys looked to other extreme sports or just sports in general for some of the tricks that you guys have?
Yeah. Okay. So now that you mention it and you go back to SSX, I have to say like SSX is the biggest reference and inspiration for our game. So yeah, the SSX trick system is the one that we are aiming for to build on top of that. Like we wanna we want to have a trick system that feels very familiar for the people who play SSX a lot, with some additions and also some accessibility features to make it easier for new players to jump into the genre. For example, one addition that we felt was needed and we really like is the balancing mechanic when you are grinding that SSX didn't have. At some point they had it, but not in the first games. And we felt like the way that mechanic is handled by Tony Hawk Pro Skater, we really like it. So we decided to implement that one. But in terms of like the tricks in general, like the grabs, the combination of buttons, if you are familiar with SSX, I can tell you, you're gonna feel right at home with this one. It's all about combining the buttons on top. It's all about like entering this kind of like Uber state, and then with that you can actually unlock crazier tricks, and it's very similar. And then every time you perform a trick, you earn boost that you can either save it for getting into the Uber state, or use it to go faster. So if you like SSX, this is the game for you, for sure.
Well, Anwar, I think that is just about all I have for you. I just want to say thank you again for your time, and I definitely look forward to HyperYuki.
Thank you so much. And again, so sorry that I needed to cancel last minute last week. But very happy to have the opportunity to talk to you here.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.